One point you make very strongly, based again on the 19th century, is the need to recognise the legitimacy of other political systems. Now, I must say, I wonder whether America will be capable of that. I noticed, even with regard to Syria, where, in fact, nobody knows what to do. We're all fishing around. But all the language has been that Russia and China are on the wrong side of history. Not that they may be backing a nasty regime too far, but that we are on the right side of history because we are for democracy. Do you think... Now, on the other hand, of course, democracy, the idea of a European model, more in view of what's been happening, is frankly a bad joke.
Not terribly appealing.
And yet the language of the supremacy of our system and our right and duty to breach it, is that so hardwired into our systems that we, in fact, are simply culturally incapable of giving it up?
Look, it may be, that might be right, and in fact it's worth making the point, I don't predict that we will see a concert of Asia emerge, precisely because it will be so hard to overcome these kinds of reservations. But we have to bear in mind what that will cost. That is, if we can't find a way to live in peace with a country whose political system is as different from ours as China's is, then we won't live in peace with them. And we'll live in rivalry and perhaps in conflict, and the price of that will be terrible. So the question is not, do we want to do this? How much do we value our right to proselytise our political model? What are we prepared to pay for it? And that price could be very high indeed. But also, having said that, I'm not as pessimistic as I might be about our chances of getting that right. When people look back at the concert of Europe, they do see. They often say, oh, but that was different because they were all Europeans and they were all exactly the same. No, they weren't. Tsarist Russia was as different from early 19th century Britain as China is from the United States in its political system. And then, of course, you had weird Austro-Hungarian Empire, dual crown and all that sort of stuff. You had
3 very different regimes in France.
Well, exactly. I mean, France going from one side to the other, and then of course in Germany you had this. At the beginning of the process, you had this remarkably vociferous collection of tiny states and emerging powers. By the time the process had finished, you had the, Imperial Germany led by Prussia. These were all very different political regimes with very different political cultures, and the stresses were there. People in Britain didn't like dealing with Tsarist Russia, but they were persuaded by their political leaders and by their very vivid sense of what they'd passed through, the Napoleonic Wars, that it was better to work with Russia than to fight it.